You're welcome back to the Progressive Mind Show here.
Now we'll come back to these wonderful people here. Please tell us, let's go back into discipline, all right? And I saw that before, whilst we were on break, you were talking that you wanted to make some point on discipline, so go ahead.
I just wanted to clear up the word discipline. In Scientology, we're very big on words. And the word discipline, the etymology of it, it comes from the Latin root disciplina, and that means to teach. It does not mean to hit. And it's just like disciple. Disciple comes from the same Latin root. Who were the disciples to Jesus that learned from him, right? And so discipline is about teaching. And so when we talk about having to, quote unquote, discipline our children, a lot of times we're talking about hitting them and using some type of physical force against them. But that is something that was used on us. Discipline a slave, similar to how you discipline a horse or an animal. And so we have internalized the word discipline to mean that for us when we talk about how we handle our children. But if you really want to discipline them, you have to be exemplary yourself and then let them learn from that. You know, I wrote something called the Parental Code of Ethics, where I say one of the lines is, I will only seek excellence in my child if I am excellent myself. And so it's really about that. That is how you instill discipline, not by hitting them. That is not what discipline means.
Yeah, just hitting is more punitive. So that's why I was talking about how my mother would penalize me, because it's a punishment. So getting beaten is a punishment. It's not a form of discipline. It's a form of punishing you physically or mentally or verbally. Those are punishments. So there's a difference.
Doc, why don't you chime in on that?
Discipline is, I think, a comprehensive term. Comprehensive in the sense that if you, for example, say that I'm studying within the discipline of biology,
right?
It means that you are learning. You are also going through the entire process that turns somebody into a biologist. Meaning that you go through the process of taking exams, getting frustrated along the line as a student, meeting your professors halfway, your professors insisting that you have to do the work well. And I think that within the family setting, when we say discipline, that kind of transfers into what you see, in the sense that it will include some kind of punishment for you when you actually commit an offense within the family. You know, but that is not just limited, and should not just be limited to the issue of a punitive action. You know, so the issue of discipline should be looked at comprehensively.
Holistically.
Yeah, that you are being built into a quote unquote a perfect human being.
Our boat cruise is coming up, so do not miss it. Please go ahead.
So I was going back to, I asked him the question because it goes back to partnership. Having someone to do it with you, so that the stress is not all on you, the one person. So when you're able to share with raising the children, it becomes easier. It's not to say that a one person can't do it. My mother did it, and she did the best she could based on the situation. However, I chose not to do it her way. I chose to have a partner, and it's so much easier. I have 5 boys. I cannot teach a boy how to be a man. My husband does. And what's funny is that sometimes I'm like, aren't you gonna, my son, one of my sons, we just came back from Ghana. We were there 6 weeks.
Is it Milano?
No, it was Chandler.
Okay.
He ripped up, I have triplets. He ripped up one city.
Actually, she has triplets and twins.
Yes.
She's a magic woman right here.
So he ripped up one city. And I said, oh, your father's going to deal with you. So I brought it back. And he's like, don't worry. I will deal with him in my time. I'm just letting him. So he's a patient person, but he doesn't punish. He disciplines. He teaches the children. And so it's totally different, where I might get stressed and frustrated. If I didn't have him, I probably go resort to what my mother did. It was easier. You just beat them and send them to the room. But because I have that partnership, I have someone else to depend on. Therefore, he can give them the eye. He can help me in terms of raising our children.
Asada, how crucial is parenting, both men and women, in the lives of kids, bringing them up the right way? How crucial is that? So
I'm a mom and a single mom, right? And I honestly have a chapter in my book called You Got Chosen, because I really believe children choose their parents, right?
Okay.
And I feel like my daughter chose me knowing I was going to be single because of the sanity that's in my household.
Okay.
So can it be done? It would be preferential that it was two parents, but my level of sanity reigns supreme. And so the environment she grows up in is totally sane.
Okay.
It doesn't involve yelling. It doesn't involve hitting. It doesn't involve me contradicting what I'm saying to her. It doesn't involve smoking. It doesn't involve drugs. It doesn't involve drinking. It doesn't involve anything that would be a vice to her.
Okay.
She doesn't see in me. And so me being sane as a one parent, that's the real thing. What kind of lessons? I understand
You
that
mean you're being insane? Fused.
yeah, because
Okay.
there's a lot of insanity out there.
Yes.
All of that contradictory, stop doing this and then you do it, that's insanity. Black people, through slavery, colonization, all of that, there's a psychosis that we exhibit. I call it the beloved syndrome. Just like when Oprah saw the slave master coming down the road and she went and got her infants and took them into the shed and cut their throats. So we rather inflict pain on our children instead of having the slave master get them. All of that is a psychosis. And so it's important for the parent to have a level of sanity that calms the child, that makes it an environment where they can learn something. I was on a radio show last night where there was a brother who the night before said that he was going to kind of debate with me. He has an 8-year-old. He's a cop. He believes in corporal punishment. And we talked just like we're talking. He came on the show last night and said, I actually did what we talked about. I took your advice, and my
What was
son.
the advice?
Well, I don't even know. He told me. I'm gonna tell you what he said. But he said that he went. His son did something wrong. He went to his 8-year-old. He said, and I spoke to him calmly, and we talked about what happened. He said, and I got a much better response from my son. And he said, I'm sold. I need your book. I don't have anything else.
Okay,
to say.
I saw that. You said that children choose parents.
Sure.
Okay, that's a different theory that I'm just hearing. Again, for the purpose of my audience, I like to break things. For some of them, I like to break things in simple terms so they can get a better
Sure.
clarity. So at the end of the day, they don't leave the show, or the show doesn't leave them more confused.
No doubt.
I got you. But I wanted you to talk on the cruciality of parenthood. I understand that you had a sane society for your child. For community for your child, environment. But is it crucial that the two are together in parenting?
I wouldn't use the word crucial.
Okay.
I would say beneficial.
So so to you, it's not that crucial.
It's not crucial.
Okay.
It's beneficial because you need, like, even when I look at my own daughter, she has a great example of a woman, which she's going to become, but she does not have a good example of a brother to take example from, because he's not there.
So to
and
you,
so
it's not, okay,
I have to help kind of push, put in things and talk well about it for her to get the concept.
So together, the concept, the man concept, is that what you're saying?
Sure. But it's better to me than to have two people, but there's insanity in there. If they arguing and it's no harmony, then that they don't need to. Two don't mean nothing. That's detrimental.
Sorry, Eric, you've been ready to say something.
Oh yes, sir. I was just kind of agreeing with Ms. Asada. Absolutely. I feel like it would be beneficial. I feel like I benefited a lot from having my father there with me, especially because of how I could have turned out. You know what I mean? Especially for an African American man in America to have that example, I would say I would use the word crucial.
Okay.
Absolutely, yes, sir. Because there are things that we have to be taught. You know what I mean? There are certain things that you shouldn't have to go and learn the hard way, because then you may be in trouble if you're an African-American man in America and you go and make that mistake. So having that guy was critical for me. And then having my mom she was the Spitfire though. You know what I mean? She was the one who get you. So you're able to deal with your wife. You're able to deal with your daughter when you have them. You know what I mean? From those examples that were set in front of you. And I would say critical.
That's cool.
Crucial.
Yeah.
Okay.
Makes sense.
I'll have Shirley please chime in quickly. Can chime in. Go
I
ahead.
agree in terms of the fact that it's crucial to have it, but if there's no love in the relationship and you're just staying, because some people stay in a relationship and they claim they're staying for the children, but actually you're doing the children a disservice by staying with them. That's what she was talking about in terms of the sanity, being sane right now, and then the insanity when you're with someone and you're seeing all these different vices. What is the child going to learn? It's better to raise the child independently if that's the environment that your child has to be in, period. There's no partnership if we cannot love one another. Number one, we're put here. God put us here to live a blissful life,
Right.
to love, and that's why you feel it in your heart.
Thank you.
That's why we're here. It's for love.
Thank you.
Nothing else.
Thank you.
So if we don't have love within the family and all the time we're arguing and fighting, well, how are the children going to be when they grow up?
Man.
How are their relationships going to be?
You said something. You said it's better to create a sane environment for the kids than to say, for the sake of the kids, I want to stay in an abusive relationship or situation. Dog.
Yes.
Yep.
Is
And
it
I think
crucial, and how can we find the balance?
it is definitely crucial to have that partnership in the home, and because of the issue of complementarity, you realize that sometimes one side becomes a bit on the weaker side. You know, your mom may say, "Oh, you know, go do this," and your dad may say, "No, I don't think that you should do this. Stop it right there." You know, there had been instances like that I experienced on my own. I mean, for example, during the time when we were going to the boarding house, you know, when school reopens, students normally take the liberty to go back to the boarding house maybe 3 or 4 days after school has reopened. But you are expected to be there. Our mother gave us the permission to stay for a few days. The old man said, no, school is starting on this day. You guys have to be there. And you realize that when you go there early, that is when you get everything. You know, you get your books and everything ready for school.
Okay.
Now, when the environment is in tatters, it tells completely on the kids. I had a student who finished, you know, Elmhurst, was teaching someone on the west side, and he came back to tell me that, Doc, I cannot teach anymore in that school. And I asked him why. He said, well, you know, you arrange parent-teacher meetings. They don't come. And when the person who comes is the grandmother who has no more energy, you know, so you can see that the family unit is no more there. And this is showing in what the kid is doing, what the kid is putting out. There is nobody over there who is actually leading this kid on at home. And the crucial part of the kid's existence, which is starting in grade school for that 6 years, once the kid misses it, that's about it. The kid is definitely going to drop out.
Okay.
And you keep seeing that a whole lot this time.
All right. You see, this parenting topic is vast.
Yeah.
I want us to maybe conclude, you know, so to speak, on discipline, parenthood, by having you all to tell us some salient ingredients or tactics that you have used, for instance, have experience that have helped shape you to become a man, and then we can move on to enforcing the use of dialects. Now, this might not pertain to the two of you because you're Americans, but for Africans, how important is dialect to our upbringing? Do we have to enforce it? So maybe 30 seconds each. Tell us the tactics that you have used and what you think that people should employ in their homes to help with their parenting. And I know you have 7 kids. Wonderful. I've been to your house several times. The discipline, 7.
5 boys, 2 girls.
The discipline in this lady's house, even with 7 kids, is amazing. And I know Doc has 2 strong boys, also well disciplined. You have turned out a fine man. I haven't seen your daughter, but looking at I hear
Her name is Patience, and she's the bomb.
I can tell already.
No doubt.
Bomb diggy.
I'm a biggest fan.
Okay, 30 seconds, please, and then let's move
All
on.
right, the main thing in terms of raising children,
Tactics, yeah.
tactics, or
Or
whatever you want
whatever,
to call
strategy,
it.
yeah.
Strategy is number 1. Pray.
Okay.
Prayer is number 1. Go to God. When things are happening in your home or things are happening with your children, pray about it. That voice you hear in your head and you think it's yourself talking to you, it's God.
Okay.
Follow your first instinct. Follow what feels good in your heart and know that you're doing your best. That's number 1.
Okay.
And then the next thing is being organized. I have to tell you, with 7 children, you have to be organized. You have to say what you mean and do what you say.
Oh.
Exactly like what she was talking about. Don't just do something, say you can't do something, and then turn around and do it yourself. You have to be truthful. If you say, yes, I'm going to take you to the beach, do it.
Okay.
Don't disappoint your children.
Look, amen to that.
Yeah.
Please, one thing that has shaped you so far to become the man that you are. Obviously, if you're not a good man, you will not be assistant manager in your company.
Yes, sir.
So you're doing fine for yourself.
Absolutely.
At 25.
At 25, yeah.
Thank you all. I would definitely say, I would say love for sure. I know I wasn't the easiest kid to raise, but they always found a way to tell me the right things no matter what it was. You know what I mean? I feel like that goes hand in hand with communication as well. If you love somebody, you'll always find the right things to say to them. So love your family, love your kids no matter what happens, and accept people for who they are. If that's your kid, that's your kid. You know
That's
what I
the
mean?
best that God gave you.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
That's all I got.
Oh, man,
Yes,
love
sir.
that. Love that.
Yes.
I saw that. One tactic, one salient ingredient.
Real basic
Yeah.
is check yourself, because people don't really know how to do that. But the way to do that, the one thing I would say is, one, go to your child and express to them the things that you admire about them. What do you admire about them? They need to hear it because they get invalidated by so many things in life. Tell them what you admire about them, and that's going to mean that you got to sit down and really think about that, and then let them hear it so that they can feel encouraged. And then the second most important part is to think about, why should they admire you? And you need to think about whatever they need to admire. That's what you need to strengthen.
I saw that. Can we clap to this one?
Yes.
Can we all clap to this one?
Let's do it.
Because I was about to say, because a lot of children don't hear terms of endearment. They don't hear "I love you." They don't hear "baby cakes," or they don't hear "sweetheart." They don't
You did
hear
this
that.
well. You did this well. Or,
Yes,
You know,
they
so
don't hear it.
admiration.
Doctor and I can attest to that. When we're growing in Africa,
How many times have you heard "I love
never.
And
Never heard "I love you" in my
and
life
also
until
to
I came
say
to
that
America.
good
You know,
job.
we don't hear. Yeah.
I'm telling you, that's
Yeah.
why.
Good
That's what
job.
we have
Good
to
job.
fix as a
Yeah,
people.
good job. You
Good
did a
job.
good job. And
Affirmation.
also,
Words of
yeah,
affirmation.
and family meetings, being able to sit down with the kids and their mom. Yeah, and then say that, hey, look here, okay, where do you think you want to find yourself in the next 5 years?
Okay.
What are your goals? What are your objectives? Even when the kids are very young, you know, discussing those kinds of things, and then discussing weaknesses and strengths.
I love that.
And
I love
listening. We need to listen.
And then listening.
Yeah, we
you
need
know,
to
and
listen,
then let the-
because we don't
letting
listen.
the kids know by sitting down with them. You know, not just basically just yelling.
Right.
But you sit down and then discuss.
Right. Because we talk
The
at them,
objectives.
but we don't
Exactly.
listen to them. And that is what I need us to do
Precisely.
more
That
of.
is so
Because they
beautiful.
have their own ideas.
Precisely.
And then by listening, you'll learn something. That's why they came here, because they know more than us. They're in a different age, so they know more.
Okay, somebody's interested in knowing. Now we close the argument on discipline, parenthood. Partnership in parenting. I want to move to the importance of having our kids learn our local dialect, be fluent in both. The reason why I think this is very important is it happens in the Hispanic community, in the Asian community, in the Arab community, in the Indian community, because I've seen it. I've encountered. Look, the most telling one for me was a 2-year-old big girl and 5-year. You know, this folks that were traveling to in India, and the little girl was just speaking an Indian dialect, you know, so fluently. Actually, when she spoke English, she had Indian accent in English, which is the other way around for African kids. African kids, they speak fluent English. They can't even utter a word in local dialect. Okay, now, how is it that the other communities are able to do it, and we are not doing it?
It goes to your parents. So for me, I'm different. I was born here. I was raised in Toronto. However, my mother was a traditionalist. I speak the language. I speak it to my children. My twins, at the age of 2, they couldn't speak English at all, period. They only spoke Tree. That was it. They learned it when they went to daycare, and I was fine with that. All of my children now speak Tree. All of my children now understand it because I choose as a parent to teach them.
Speak it at home.
To speak it at home. Do you know there are people in Ghana who have never traveled and their children don't speak the language?
Yes.
I'm shocked.
Yeah.
I was speaking Tree to a little girl when I was there, and her mother was like, oh, she doesn't understand. I'm like, what?
What? Yeah.
Wow.
It was hard for me to understand. some parents, when they bring their children to abroad, to foreign, they think that the child needs to speak English in order to better themselves. So they stop speaking their dialect at home.
Right.
And then they grow up, a child born and raised in Ghana, grow up and don't know how to speak the language. It's mind-boggling.
More
to
so
me.
here.
Yes, it's mind-boggling to me, and I'm so blessed that my mother was a traditionalist. I used to dance at Dua. In Toronto, we had Ghana school. Every Wednesday we went and we learned, I can read. I can read it. A lot of people can't even speak it, and they were born there.
How do you tell people who are watching Facebook and listening now to share their feet in Chi?
Speak to your children in Tree.
No, I mean,
Like-
can you say? I want you to say it in Chi.
Oh, okay. No woman country. Country Debia. It doesn't matter. You kind of say.
And
And Fahon said the accents, well, American accents and Abibisa. Media ye womi waha. And to still make a tree, Debia time be a make a tree.
my brother, Doc, please.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Now, in my case, I my wife is African American, and in my case, my kids have not benefited from that just because of the issue of time. Yeah, it becomes extremely difficult, if you have to. I mean, my work did involve traveling,
Okay.
going around the world giving lectures and that kind of stuff.
Right.
And at some point, I tried to teach them and their mom, and they were picking up. I mean, kids can.
They pick up
Sponges.
very
Yeah,
fast.
the sponges.
Yeah.
It was their mom who had problems picking up fast, and but because of all the travels, it became really difficult. And so I think I spent a sabbatical in Ghana, and they came there, and I actually got them somebody to be teaching them, but that was only for a very short short period.
But
of time.
as Africans, you think we have to do more
Oh, definitely.
in enforcing this?
Oh, definitely.
Okay, because
Yeah, we have
it's
to.
crucial. Look, understanding one's language or one dialect is so crucial. Nelson Mandela put it this way, and I'm going to paraphrase it. He said, if you speak to a man, you talk to his head. But if you speak his language or his dialect, you speak to his heart. You see, you can see a man's face, but you can see a man's face, but you can't see the heart. Everything comes from the heart. So it's important to connect to people, from in the heart or from the heart, heart to heart talk. And so, exactly. And so I can tell you how many people I've come across who are Ghanaian Americans who regret to this day, people in their 30s and their 40s, regret to this day that their parents did not speak or did not help them learn the
Particularly
local.
when the two parents are all African.
Africans,
Yeah,
and yet still they
able
grow up and cannot speak the dialect.
Well, let me tell you this. My goddaughter, both her parents are African American. She speaks Tree. I even took her with me to Ghana. Every other weekend, she would come to my house, and she wanted to learn. She was like, Auntie, only speak Tree to me when I come here.
Oh man,
She's now 15. She's going to be 16. She speaks Tree. When we were in Ghana, people look at her and they're like, "Wuti Tree was say I Timika Tree pa." Her parents don't speak it at all. She chose to learn, so it can be done.
I do want to say it really is, it boils down to self-worth across the board, because African people, because of the processes that we've been through with other races demeaning us, we do not see value in who we are.
Yes.
I am the only person in this room, as African American as I am, that got on some African garb, right? That's nothing against nobody, but there's a reason I do it as an African in America. When a brother or sister from the continent say, "Where you from?" because they see the head wrap and this and that, I tell them I'm one of those stolen kids. I don't know, but it don't matter, because this is necessary, because it's a holding on to tradition, because our people need it. Brothers give me mad respect. They need to see that women covered up is something that they can value. And the women, they say, "I like your hair. I love the way you look." They need to be inspired by who they are traditionally. So similar to instilling the dialect is instilling the image of who we are traditionally. I actually also get respected more by white people, because I'm coming to them who we are as who we are with my culture,
being
so they know how to
confident
deal.
in who you are.
That's right. And
Jesus.
so that's what it's about.
Yes, ma'am.
When you are speaking the language, wearing the clothes, doing the whole nine. It's like you are saying, I know what my nationality is. I might be a stolen kid, but I doggone know I'm a descendant of Africa.
As
So
an
it's had
adult,
something to do with
it's
that.
easier. But my girls get it hard at school.
Of course
because
they
they're
do.
dark, and they're called African booty scratcher and all these
Yes.
different things. So it's hard. And I try to give them positive images of black people all the time. But it's hard when people who are uneducated and or because they don't know where they're from. They don't know their ancestors, so
Right.
therefore they try to belittle you by degrading you and calling you an African booty scratcher, or going, oh, go, or making sounds like that. My girls speak Tree at school.
Oh, man.
They speak to one another in Tree because that's theirs. They have it.
And
They
you are
own
instilling
it.
that confidence.
Yes.
That own it is beautiful.
Yes.
Oh man.
We have to find ways to reinstill it. I was telling Eric earlier when I taught on the west side of Chicago, I took my students to Africa straight up. All them gangbangers, I took them to get their passports, and we went to Africa.
Where
And
did
when
you guys go?
Oh, we went to Senegal because it was the closest point.
And I'm sure
but-
when they came back,
Oh no, baby! You know those scores went up, and when the kids tried to come to them and try to call them an African, this and the other, or did they try to eat you? Them kids ran into them like, "Don't you even try it!" And they read them the riot act because they've been to Africa now and felt it. So one, we have to reinstill. And the other thing I did recently, I did a workshop at the Thorndale Library where I talked about the African retentions of dance. So when you see those brothers on the south side and the west side juking, show them the dance that looks just like it.
Yes.
When you see them doing the Harlem Shake,
Yes.
show them the Ethiopian version of that called Kiska. So when I played the videos, the Ghanaian girl said, "That's my music," and they got up and was doing it, and the American kids were like, "Well," so there's ways that we can reinstill.
that's beautiful. We have a caller on the line. Caller, please tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Yeah, my name is Kenya and I'm calling from Chicago. Good
Please-
evening, Alinko.
Hey, my brother, man. Good evening, man. Hey, I hope you've been listening, and tell us how you've been thinking the conversation so far, and go ahead with your contribution, please.
Yes, I would like to say hello to everybody on the panel today.
They hear you.
Hello? Yes. Yeah, I like that topic particularly. I like what Asada is saying, self-worth. And, we don't realize the importance of language, to some extent, based on colonialism and what Africans and Black people have gone through. I think sometimes it's also, we are not so proud of what we have. We want to have what somebody has. Like where I come from, language goes with name, okay? I'm so proud to be called Kenyi. But I guarantee you a lot of my close friends or relatives, if I address them as Kenyi instead of John, I will be in trouble, We don't like what is ours. That pride has been beaten out of us. But me personally, I just love it. And if I can teach people how to speak different African languages, I'll be so proud to do that. To the extent that in my family, I speak Swahili, and I've never been
Nina
to
Kupenda.
where. Yes. Hello? Yeah,
Nina Kupenda.
Nakupenda too. Yeah, I've never been where I could learn Swahili than any of my relatives, but I speak Swahili. It's because I try to expand my knowledge. I try to expand myself into different locations, different locales, and socialize with different people, try to learn different African languages. But yes, Akada and the panel, I agree with you. Is we don't take pride of what we have, particularly in language and name, and those are very important. Being called your original African name, matters a lot than being called some generic name, John, Edward, Michael. I'm quite sure if you tell me what Asada means, it means a lot.
It means lioness.
He
If,
is so
if
right.
I tell you what Kenyi
Yes.
means, it means a lot.
That's right.
So it's those kind of things that we need to address in our African communities, bring out that pride. Let's look at China. 60 years ago, everybody laughed at China when Chinese decided that they're going to use their local languages. People didn't understand. But now look at China. Technology, economic, political, they are doing good because everything they explain. If you taught me chemistry in my language, I will understand what an atom means in my language. I will understand a formula of a chemical reaction in my language. But if you teach me that in a second language, it's going to be a problem. That's why you have to teach it to me. But anyway,
Okay.
I think I won't go far.
Hey, my brother.
Stop right there.
Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
everybody. Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Dr. Senyo. Thank you, Asada. And my sister, Sofori.
Kwaheri Ndugu.
Thank you.
All right. Asante sana.
Thank you so much.
He's so
Okay,
right
bye-bye.
when he talks about a name, because my name, I wasn't born Shelly Ann. So it's so true. My father named me Mother. That is my first name. And I hated it. Because in school, people would be like, Mammy, I want my bottle. Mammy, I'm hungry. Mommy, I want. And so I hated it. So in grade 6, I remember going to the classroom and I said, don't call me mother anymore. Call me Shelly Ann. So, and that was it. It's so true. And it's funny that he said that because I said I was going to go back to my original name. My real name is Mami Akuyabra. That's my name. Abrasica is my name. But I said I'm going to go back to it because now I know who I am. But when I was younger, being in Toronto, and all you had was white teachers, you had no one like yourself, and being ridiculed based on your name, and being the only child from the continent in the class or in the whole school, it was very difficult. So I decided to assimilate. And my assimilation was I couldn't change the color of my skin, so I said, oh, I'll change my name. And that was, he's so right when he said in name, yes.
It's 32 minutes past 8 p.m. In a short while, we will have to bring this discussion to an end.